Welcome back to my channel. This is Nikki of Nikki's Homemade Crafts. Welcome to the bag mystery crochet along. This is part one. We're going to use worsted weighted yarn. I'm using Premier's anti-pilling everyday medley yarn. There's also just everyday yarn. The regular everyday yarn will work fine as well. I used 2 skeins of the worsted yarn. You can use any other worsted yarn as well. Totally up to you. I'm also using a 4.5mm hook. I used the We Crochet Dots hooks, but you can use any other hook as well. Just be aware that you may have to go up or down in hook size depending on your tension. This mystery crochet along is a little bit different than my normal mystery crochet alongs. Typically, I tell you to guess along the way what we're actually making, and your focus is on the stitches or the stitch technique. This time, you already know we're making a bag. So let's turn it around and see what kind of bag I'm going to make with you. And I'm allowing you to be a little bit flexible in terms of which stitch you're actually going to use, because I want you to focus on the measurements of the project as well as what the effect of each stitch will have. So you can use different stitches for the same purpose, and the purpose is tight stitches without any gaps or barely any gaps. I'm going to teach you 4 different stitches in this video, and you can pick which one you prefer. I will mention at the end a few extras that you can also use, but I have different video tutorials for those if you prefer using those. Some of them require a little extra yarn, so be aware of that. The 4 that I'm about to show you do not require extra yarn, so just that you have that in mind. So let's get started with part 1. Okay, so you're going to make a chain of 42. I'm going to make little swatches so it's faster for you to see how everything looks like. And I'm going to first start with the single crochet. So that is stitch number 1 that you can pick from. Okay, so the single crochet. Very easy. I just have your chain of 10. So you remember you make 42. And then ideally you want to turn around and go into the back bump. So in the back bump of the chain, so starting from the second chain from the hook, you're going to crochet 1 single crochet per chain. And at the end of the row, you're simply going to turn. I recommend no chain of 1 because it reduces the amount of bulk that the chain of 1 will create. So just skip it and turn. So let me show you how that looks like. So once row 1 is done, you're going to turn, and then no chain of 1, just insert your hook into the stitch and crochet a single crochet. And now you're just going to keep on going and crochet single crochet stitches. Once I show you all 4 stitches, I'm going to show you the measurement of the piece. So that was stitch 1, so single crochet. Stitch number 2 that you can pick from is the waistcoat stitch, which is also known as the crochet knit stitch. So you start with a row of just single crochet. However, make your single crochets a little looser. I know, sounds a little weird, the opposite of tight, right? No, you're going to need that, otherwise you're going to have a hard time putting your hooks through the stitches instead of through the spaces. So let me show you what I actually mean by that. So once you have 1 row done of single crochets, you're now inserting your hook into the actual stitch. So that means you are splitting your stitch in half. So let me kind of point to it. So you can look at the back of this stitch right here. So you see there's the 3rd loop right here, right? So front loop, back loop, and then here's that 3rd loop. And then you see like a little V right here, right? If you look really closely, you see a V. You're going to put your hook right into it. So right into the V and split it up. So instead of before or after the stitch, so if I pull a little bit, you can see that space, right? That's where you typically insert your hook. You're not going into that. You're going to go right into that V. So you're splitting that in half. That's why you need a little bit of a looser single crochet in the very first row. Otherwise, you're going to have a hard time putting your hook through it. So once you're through, you simply yarn over and pull your loop through and make a single crochet. So you're actually making single crochets, but in a different location. You're not going into the space here between the stitches. You're going to go through the stitch. So look where the V's are and then push through, pull the yarn through, and finish up your stitch. You're going to do that for the entire project. Now this may take a little bit more time. It should not take more yarn, but it does take a little extra time. So I highly recommend making sure that your stitches are loose so you have no issues crocheting this stitch. And you can see that I made my stitches a little looser, so it's not super hard to push through. Once you kind of have your very first row done, it is much easier. So you're going to start seeing V's show up. So it does look like it was knitted. And now if you turn, you're going to make a chain of one, a teeny tiny one, just because it's much easier now to insert your hook. So the very first stitch is going to be hard. If you're skipping that one, your projects will be off and you won't have a clean edge. The very first stitch will not have a V per se. That one right there. It's going to look a little different. You see that? It doesn't look like this one right here, but it's still a single crochet, and that's because we slightly tilted a little bit. So if you push it back a little bit, you can see the V. Okay? So if you kind of look from this angle, you're going to go through here. Do you see that? There's the V on the kind of on the side because we were tilting, and pull through. And then crochet your single crochet stitch. Don't miss that one. That one is hard to remember if you are using the waistcoat stitch. Right here is that V again. Push it through and crochet your single crochet stitches. If you keep your stitches loose, this is very easy to crochet. You just have to remember to go through the stitches and not through the space. You can see I'm having a much easier time on the second row using this stitch. So once you're done with the row, you just keep on going and crochet this stitch. This one is a very nice and thick texture, and you should not require any lining with this stitch. Technically, you won't require any lining for any of the stitches, but this one is actually one of my favorites, and you will see that I picked this stitch for this project. For stitch number 3, I have the linked double crochet for you. The linked double crochet is part of the linked crochet or Tunisian crochet family, and it does look like, if you're tilting it over a little bit, it will look like a Tunisian simple stitch, and that's actually what it is. It's a very short form of that, but it's considered the linked double crochet. So we're going to start by simply making your chain as normal, and you're going to add one extra chain to it. So I told you a chain of 42, you're going to add one extra to it. Okay, so it would be 43 if you're picking the stitch. So for the linked double crochet stitch, you're going to insert your hook into the second chain from the hook, whether you go through the back bump or the back loop, it's up to you. I'm going to go through the back bump. I'm going to pull up a loop. That is your yarn over for the double crochet. Now insert it into the next chain. That is your regular stitch that you're going to go into. So now you have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over and pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through 2. You made your very first linked double crochet. Now if you look at it from this direction, you're going to see that there's that horizontal bar, okay, that center one. That's where you're going to insert your hook, go through, now yarn over and pull up a loop. That is your yarn over that you need for the double crochet, okay, where we're linking it to the previous stitch. Now insert your hook into the next chain, pull up a loop. Again, you have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Now just keep going and look for that horizontal bar, the center one, right, there's 2. This is the top one, this is the center one, go through the center one, yarn over and pull through, and insert into the next stitch, and then keep on going. So this one is a really, really fun stitch. It does go fairly quick, and it still creates a fairly tight texture, and that's what we need. Bags should not have gigantic gaps unless you add a lot of lining to it, or like sturdy lining, to make sure that nothing will fall through, because the purpose of a bag is to transport things. So if you have giant gaps, the exception are filet crochet market bags, for example, because they are intended to have gaps, but typically a bag does not have any gaps. Anyways, so this is the linked double crochet, and you can see it's a fairly tight texture. It is pretty much the same as 2 single crochet rows made at the same time. You can think of it like that. So now once you're at the end, you're going to turn, you're going to chain 2, and now we're going to start over like we did in the beginning. So insert your hook into the second chain from the hook, yarn over and pull through, insert it into the first stitch, and yarn over, pull through. You have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And now you're just going to keep going with the horizontal bar as normal. So this is how it looks like after 2 rows. You can see the beautiful texture. You can see it's fairly tight. So the linked double crochet is stitch number 3 that you can pick from, and it's a really beautiful stitch. So let's go to number 4. For number 4, you're going to add 2 extra chains to the 42. So that would mean it is 44 chains if you are picking this stitch. And this one is the linked treble crochet stitch, very much related to the linked double crochet, just a bit taller. It will actually look almost identical. So let's do that. So you're going to insert your hook into the second chain from the hook, pull up a loop, insert it into the third chain from the hook, pull up a loop, and the fourth one, yarn over and pull up a loop. So you have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. You made your very first linked treble crochet stitch. So here you're going to again link the stitches together. You're going to use those horizontal bars, but in this case you're going to see 2 of them. Okay, so you have the top one and then 2 center ones. You're going to work them up from top to bottom, just the center ones. Okay, so insert your hook into the first one, yarn over and pull through. This is your first yarn over. Into the next one, yarn over, pull through. This is your next. This is your second yarn over. Remember, treble crochet stitches have 2 yarn overs, but in this case they're linked. Now insert your hook into the next stitch, yarn over and pull through. So again, you have 4 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through 2, 2, and 2. This is your second linked treble crochet stitch. Now you keep on going and crocheting this stitch until the end of the row. This is how it will look like at the end of the row, and it really does look like you made 3 rows of single crochets on top of each other all at the same time, which is really, really cool. So again, at the end of the row, you simply turn. In this case, you're going to make 3 chains. You're going to insert your hook into the second, yarn over and pull through, third, yarn over and pull through, and the first stitch, yarn over and pull through. Again, you have 4 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through 2, 2, and 2. Now you again keep going with your horizontal bars. There's 2 of them that you insert and pull through to have 2 yarn overs for the treble crochet stitch, but linked. Insert it into the next stitch, yarn over, pull through 2, 2, and 2. And now keep on going with the linked treble crochet stitch. That is stitch number 4. So I taught you 4 different stitches on how to crochet this piece. You're going to start either with a chain of 42 for the first 2 stitches, which was single crochet, and the waistcoat stitch, which is this one right here. This is the one I picked. And for the linked double crochet, it would be 43. Or for the linked treble crochet, it's 44 chains. However, that chain count is actually not the most important. For this project, it's actually more important that you have the right measurement. So my project is about 10 inches, and then we have the height of it is going to be about 11 inches. Let's see, it's a little off camera there. So it's 11 in height, and it's 10 across. So that is what I need you to crochet for part 1 of the mystery crochet along to make a bag. As I said, I used the waistcoat stitch, but you can pick any of the 4 stitches or any other stitch that doesn't create any gaps. So what are other stitches that create no gaps? Any of the linked crochet stitches. So I showed you 2 of them, which was the linked double and treble, but there's also a linked half double and a linked single crochet. And then of course you can also pick any of the thermal crochet stitches. There's the thermal crochet using the single crochet, half double, double. You can even go up to treble if you like. But those ones require more yarn. So keep that in mind. If you're going to use the thermal crochet stitches, they will use more yarn. There are other stitches that you can pick, like the moss stitch, for example. However, the moss stitch has extra gaps in between because you're going to make a single crochet and then a chain of 1 and skip 1. That little bit of space in between will create a little bit too many gaps. So I don't really per se recommend it, but if you absolutely want to use it, that's totally fine. And you can use, of course, lining in order to make sure that the gaps are not going to interfere with whatever you're transporting in your bag. But I'm sure there's other stitches that you can pick from, but I don't want to overwhelm you. So I feel like if you pick any of the 4 stitches that I taught you in this video, this will be a great way to crochet this bag. Pick any of them, and I do recommend keeping the same stitch throughout unless you want to make it a little fun and mix it up. Just make sure though that you're going to keep with the measurements. Those are more important than the chain or stitch count or the row count. Once you're done, go ahead and take a picture and post it into my Facebook group called Crocheting with Nikki with the corresponding hashtag so I can find you and celebrate you that you're part of the Bag Mystery Crochet Along. I'm going to see you on part 2, which is going to be published in a couple of days. And if you're watching this way past the Mystery Crochet Along, you're going to see it pop up here on the right side momentarily. Be sure to like, comment, and share this video. And be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel and turn on the bell to get a notification next time I'm publishing a video or go live. Now go ahead and watch the next video. You're going to want to, I promise you do.